Good evening from Israel, a nation beyond stunned tonight, vulnerable in ways it has never had to accept after a far weaker adversary, Hamas, unleashed a ferocious attack over the weekend that seemed to come from everywhere, raining deadly rockets into residential streets and sending militant fighters across the Gaza border where they murdered and kidnapped Israeli civilians. Israel says it has retaken control of areas Hamas had seized. Tonight, Israeli officials cutting off Gaza, the Hamas stronghold, declaring it is under siege and hitting it with repeated airstrikes. Nearly 1,400 in Gaza and Israel have died in the attacks and counteroffensive. The U.S. confirming at least 11 Americans have been killed, and President Biden saying the U.S. believes Americans may be, some of those, being held by Hamas. Since we arrived on the ground here, we have seen incredible stories of bravery and loss and seen unforgettable images of violence. Tonight, Israel bombing the Hamas-run Gaza Strip, ordering a complete siege. No electricity, fuel, or food allowed inside as they hunt down the Palestinian militants responsible for the massive terror attack that's left hundreds dead, including Americans. What Israeli officials call their 9/11. Tonight, Israel's prime minister says airstrikes in Gaza are just the beginning.
We just started to hit the Hamas.
And now the race to find what Israel says are at least 100 hostages, with Hamas threatening to start executing them. Among those abducted, 25-year-old Noah Argamani screaming for help as she and her boyfriend are taken hostage by Hamas terrorists. This woman barefoot, her hands bloodied and tied behind her back, her face bleeding as she's forced into the back of a Jeep. And a mother crying, clutching her two children as they're about to be kidnapped. The horror starting Saturday morning at 6:30 when the biggest attack against Israel in decades began. Israel's vaunted military and intelligence agencies apparently caught by surprise. Hamas fighters coming in by land, sea, and air, including paragliders, getting past Israel's border barrier. Armed Hamas men in the back of trucks. And this video showing Hamas terrorists on foot, randomly opening fire. Going door to door, executing civilians. And unleashing a massacre at a music festival in southern Israel. Young revelers running for their lives. Others desperately crouching behind vehicles and bushes as the terror unfolded. Sahar Ben Salah saw friends die at the festival.
Seriously, it's really living hell. Never seen something like this. Bodies, all places for the slaughter. They slaughter us there. They didn't care if you're a man or a woman, you're young or old man. They're killers.
Israel releasing this chilling image from the aftermath. The dead in body bags. Officials say at least 260 people were killed. This drone video shows burned out cars strewn along the side of the road. By 11:30, Israel's prime minister declaring war on Hamas. Israeli military operations are launched, but others taking matters into their own hands. You were a grandfather on a mission.
Exactly.
Today, I met retired Israeli Major General Noam T-Bone. He got a text Saturday from his son Amir, who was staying with his family on a kibbutz near the Gaza border when Hamas arrived.
He told me, Dad, there are terrorists all around. They are shooting on the house. And I said only one thing, be quiet, I'm on my way.
Armed with only his pistol, Noam and his wife, who's also a retired military officer, drove to the kibbutz, joining Israeli soldiers in a gun battle with Hamas. You killed some of the terrorists.
I killed at least one, yeah.
You are a trained soldier, but still, you're protecting your family at that moment.
I was in many battles. This is by far the most important thing that I did in my life. I was protecting my family. I was protecting their whole community.
He arrived at his son's house, finding his family was hiding, terrified, but safe.
My little granddaughter, Galia, said, Grandpa came. And this is maybe the best words that I ever heard in my life.
Meanwhile, the death toll is also growing inside Gaza tonight. Palestinian officials say hundreds are dead from Israeli retaliation operations, including civilians, rescuers combing through rubble. We were sitting peacefully and then started feeling debris falling on us. My dad and sister were killed, this man says. Hamas is backed, armed, and financed by Iran. And tonight, former U.S. intelligence and military officials tell NBC News the unprecedented scale and sophisticated tactics Hamas used indicate Iran most likely played a significant role in the terror attack. Iran's president tonight praising the Hamas strike, which he calls resistance efforts, while Iran is denying direct involvement, and at least one Hamas official saying Iran was not involved. But the Wall Street Journal reporting that Iran helped Hamas plan the attack, giving it a green light last Monday, citing senior members of Hamas and Hezbollah. The White House says they do not have evidence to corroborate the report. Tonight, Israeli forces say they are still working to clear Hamas out of Israeli territory, with so many waiting for word on their loved ones held inside Gaza.
Right now, all we care is that they come home safely.
Like American Abby On, whose family texted her Saturday from southern Israel, describing Hamas gunmen inside their home.
They were overturning furniture and that they could hear gunfire, and they were locked in bomb shelters, and they began to communicate that they were afraid they wouldn't come out.
Did you know that they were taking hostages?
We knew at this point that they were slaughtering people.
Missing tonight, her American cousin, 3 of her grandchildren, and her son-in-law. She's seen this disturbing video online. Her cousin, 12-year-old Erez Calderon, being abducted by Hamas kidnappers. When you review the moments of that day, do you keep coming back to the video?
Yes. I mean, when I saw that video, my husband and I burst into tears and started shaking. It's something that no parent, no human can ever imagine, to see a child in the hands of terrorists.
Tonight, desperate for her family's nightmare to end.
It felt like a horror movie. This doesn't happen in real life. And also, you live in a country who boasts one of the best armies in the world. So it felt like all the wrong things happened at the right moment for this to take place. And it's just been, it's hard to close your eyes at night.